Hey guys, Kev here, and I want to talk about the 01 slider versus the Mackie CP3. The legend versus the newcomer. What do I think? And which one should you get? Can you get them? Etc., etc. So, first off, I want to say I love the CP3. This is one of my top fidgets of all freaking time. So I've only spent 6 months or so in the fidget world, but I have dialed it in, right? In my collection, this is all my opinion, obviously. But if you want to know the top dogs, in my opinion, in the fidget world, you have Fidget Things with the Chill Pill. You have Magnus with the Magic Beans. You have Compiform with the Laugh Now, Cry Later coin, or whichever fidget of his that you really like. And that kind of goes for all of these, right? Then you have what I think are 3 of the best spinners. Whoops. The Torque Bar from Scam Designs, the Chub from Yellow Day Energy, and the Trank from M3 Metal Creations. So you're seeing a bit of a theme here, right? Different types of fidgets, right? One last one that makes and breaks the cake, whatever you want to call it. You have, and I'm carrying one, the NJT Hand Power Ulti coin. I think it's got some sweat on it, baby. So these are kind of my categories. This is literally my fidget collection at this point, guys. Other than that, I have a couple of things here and there. I think I have one donut, a Gambit coin. I have 2 other spinners. And I have some Chill Pill extra doses. And then I do have a couple of 3DC printed sliders. But that's my collection of fidgets, guys. Like, I used to have pouches and pouches full, right? But now it's down to a select collection of them because I've found what I like. And I'd say if you twisted my arm and say, Kev, what's the best fidget out there? It would be the Ulti coin from NJT. Hand Power. I've always loved the haptic coin from the beginning. And there's just something about the snap and the feel and the fact that you can get all these cool different color options and materials. I actually have 3 more on the way. Amazing piece. Does that mean anything is not as good? It's just personal preference. But all of these are top echelon. For whatever that's worth, I just wanted to put that out there. And the CP3 obviously is in that category. I'm going to put this back in my pocket. So, random declaration of what's the best over. Sorry. No idea what came over me there. All right. Back to this. So, one of the best fidgets, hands down. Really can't miss with this unless you just don't like sliders for whatever reason. Or you prefer having a free-floating slider where you can spin it around and do all that shit. That's not my style, as you can tell. I like the spinner that spins around. I like the coin that just clicks. I like this that just goes up and down. And that's because it doesn't make me think. It's just kind of like mindless. I can just do this and chill. You know what I mean? I don't want to be thinking about it. I don't want to do tricks. So that's my style of fidgeting. You may have your own, so take everything I say here with a grain of salt. So the CP3 works on a 3-plate system. You have 2 plates on the outside in a specific material, whether it's Zerk or I think they've done copper, brass, titanium, steel, etc., Zerkutai, whatever. And then you usually have a center plate of steel. There is the exception. I had a Zerkutai one that was full Zerkutai, which honestly was a mistake. They should have made this plate out of stainless because it obviously did not run very well without tape. But anyway, that's what you have. You have the 3-plate system. You have magnets on all of them, and you have these little posts on the outer ones and these little tracks on the inner ones. And then you have the cuts here and cut here so that the piece stays on the proper side and does not come off. You can go all the way out and all the way down. It can't go further than that. Can't go further than that. So this is a little bit of a slim piece. It's kind of like a capsule style. I think that's why it's called the CP3, the Capsule 3. And essentially what you get is a slider that goes up like this. That's as far as it extends right there. And then clicks down like that. You cannot go past that position. So you can go up and down like this, or you can flip it over and go up and down like this. Right? But you can't go up and down this way, and you can't go up and down this way. So those are your options. You basically are limited to this. And you can do the hand cut pop, kind of bring it down like this. Get it to make a little bit louder clicks. And I will say the magnet strength will vary from piece to piece. This is one of the stronger ones I've ever had, which is why it's the last one I have left in the collection. All the other ones I've had have not had this kind of pop and snap to them. And this one just felt the best to me. And it's hard to keep around things that you have multiples of sometimes, especially if they're not like crazy different like those coins I showed earlier. But this is the Hog Doggins collaboration. And it looks like so. Has a little pig snout, some grip. It's polished Zerk, which in this case does work for me. Usually that's an issue with slickness, but these have some grip, and I just haven't had that issue here. Love this piece. One of the best of all time, in my opinion. Simple, yet amazing. Now, bring in the 01 slider. First thing you should know is the CP3 is from Mackie Studios. Mackie Lynn is the designer of the CP3. Well, what happened was he actually left Mackie Studios. So I don't know if he wasn't getting paid enough anymore. You know, other people were involved and he was just designing and somehow it diluted his share. I don't know. But he left and he, I believe, started 01. I don't know if there's anybody else involved in that again or if it's just him. But he then designed basically a competitor to his own product. So the CP3, Mackie Studios, 01 is this is just called the 01 slider as far as I know. This is the Urban EDC exclusive one with the Sagaha pattern. This is in steel all around. This one, same slider, different build. This is in Zerk. You'll see I dropped it on concrete. Good for me. This is in Zerk with a steel plate in the center, which is plated gold or painted gold, whatever. But anyway, he basically designed a competitor. So he's trying to get that market share, the people who want to buy the CP3, to buy his product now. And he tried to basically improve the CP3 is how I look at it. This is amazing in many ways. It has some big flaws, in my opinion, and it had some major QC issues out of the gate. I have had big problems with both of these. I was able to solve them myself, and I am fairly happy with them now. But I do want to stress that the first batch of these seem to have some issues, and that is just how it goes when you make a product. It really is. The first round, the prototypes, whatever, they're going to have kinks that you have to kind of work out. And it's sad. It's a sad reality that customers are going to buy them and get them and have issues. And then you have to kind of fix those. Now, it's up to the company to man up and offer repairs and refunds and whatever. I don't know the status of that. I reached out to Dean Chow. He's the guy who is kind of like the contact person here for 01. And I needed some screws, and I was told he didn't have any. once he got some, if he got some, he would send me some. That was as far as I got. I didn't really ask for much because what was I going to do? Send it back? Didn't want to do that. I'm not going to ask for a refund on something. It's just, anyway. So, just keep that in mind. But if you have any issues with your 01, hit up Dean Chow. Dean, I can tell you, is a good dude. So, he'll do what he can for you. The way this one works is it has these outer plates again. But instead of having an exposed third plate or central plate, it has a inset plate. So you'll see when it's closed, you can see it, but it's not on the outside. Does that make sense? So it's kind of in the center like that, which is unique. Now, what that does, or however they designed it, makes it thicker. So if we look right here, you can see it's actually a good bit thicker. I do not like that. That's one thing that instantly stood out to me. I said, damn, it's thicker. I don't like this. So this is 0.44 thick. And this guy right here is 0.54 thick. So that's a pretty big difference. Here's the Zerk. 0.55 on this. There you go. 0.4, whatever. Right around 0.54 on those. If you are overseas, on this guy, we're looking at 13.7 millimeters. And on the CP3, we're looking at 11 millimeters. Hopefully that helps. Lengthwise, they are identical. They are basically identical in most dimensions other than the fact that this is thicker, right? So they're just as long. They're the same length, right? They're the same width. Might be a little bit wider on the 01, but it's not much. But the thickness is where you feel it. And I am going to remove this plate. This normally does not come off. And this is where I have the issue. So the construction here is, again, you have a track and you have a post. Just like the CP3, just a little bit different, right? The post was down closer to the end on the CP3. The track was a little bit smaller. And it was a little bit different the way it went into here. You could see there's no kind of cut here to stop it from moving the other way. So on this one, you can go up, down, and pass through, which I'll show you in a second. You have magnets in here, obviously, on both sides again. And you have this post. And this post normally has a screw in it. Just imagine one of these screws. It's the same exact screw, but in here. And that screws in to the post. And then this actually locks in place on top. And the way it locks in is you see these little half moons right here, these little cuts. So what you would do is place this on when it's dead centered on that post. And that screw would lock in there. And then as soon as you pass any way, it can't come off anymore. That screw holds it in to this post. It holds it, or into this track, it holds it in. So the only way when that screw is in there to remove these is to be able to peel the side off when it's central. So what you do is kind of slide one to the side. Oops. Slide one to the side like this. Hold this one in the center now. So the post is dead center. And then you kind of wiggle it and pull. And then eventually you'll be able to pop, you know, the side off. Now, I don't have the posts in, so it's a little bit harder to show you. And the reason I removed the screw, sorry, screw, not post, is because one of the issues with this product is that these screws come loose very easily. So you will use it for a few days. If you use it regularly, those screws will loosen and almost to the point of falling out. And the same happens with the screw in the post. And once that screw starts loosening, it starts to really jam up your action. And if you keep using it thinking it's just dirty or whatever, you're going to really kind of screw that screw up, right? That screw head is going to like kind of get jacked up a little bit. And that's what happened to me. And it really just messes with everything. So by the time I got in here and figured all this out, I had already damaged that screw a good bit. It was kind of bent and turned, and there was really no fixing it without getting a replacement screw. So what I ultimately did was I Loctited or super glued every one of these screws down. There's 8 of them. And then I took those post screws out. And what that does is allow it to move more freely, in my opinion. And it also, the downside is these plates can come off now very easily. One of the cool things with it, the way it is stock, is you can kind of like, you can pop these off slightly and kind of do a little game where you pop it up and down like this. And it doesn't go anywhere because that screw is holding it in place. It's kind of fun. So I kind of removed that type of play from the game. But ultimately, it just feels way better like this, right? Now, again, what I said earlier was this one can go both ways. That's what she said. So you see how I can go up like that. Then I can come down and I can keep going. So I can go up, down, like this. I can flip it over. It doesn't matter what direction I'm going. I can go up and down. Okay? So that adds a little bit of fun to it, where this one, you can just go up and down. The other issue with removing the screws, something you have to keep in mind, is that while you're playing with it, you could accidentally pop a plate off and have an issue. That's what happened here. So last night I was walking with my kid, and I was just kind of clicking away, and I must have hit something the wrong way, and it came off like this, and I ended up just going, and I dropped it, and the whole thing hit the concrete. This skipped off, and it all went into pieces, and I had dented the zirconium and everything here. Luckily, I don't care. I use these. I'm not babying them to sell them later. I'm not just collecting them. I get them to use them, and really it just makes it easier for me now to carry and use it. I don't have to worry about it anymore because it's dinged up. And over time, those will kind of polish out anyway, and they'll look okay. So that's another downside. Now, I will say that was the first time that has ever happened to me where it came apart. And I really just wasn't paying attention or whatever, so I don't think it's really a downside to removing the screws, but it is something to note that they can then come off, right? Yeah, so that's kind of my rundown of the two, and this one over here is stronger magnetically. Like I was saying with these, the magnets just differ. This one just feels stronger. So that's a personal preference thing. Again, most people would probably be fine with this. And it is fine. It's not like bad. But it's just not. Plus, zirconium tends to have better acoustics. So it could be both of those things combined. But without those screws in there, it's just so much freer. I can just move and play with them so much freer. I don't have to worry about it. I mean, I was constantly cleaning it out, and like I thought something was wrong constantly, and it was just that screw not being straight, not being screwed tight, not, you know, I tried Loctiting those down, and it just never really worked. So when I got this one, I basically immediately removed the screws. I have them over there. The screws are basically fine. One other downside to the 01 slider, something they have to change on a later run. These screws are horrible. They are literally the worst screws I've ever had on a product. No joke. They have the worst screw head I've ever seen. So I tried all different size Phillips, and I got one that's really small that came with a kit, and it kind of worked. I mean, it got in there and it kind of worked, but it really wants to strip these screws. They're so soft. And a lot of people told me, oh, they're just use the eyeglasses drivers. And so I actually recently got this Leatherman, and it has a built-in, grab it, a built-in driver for microbits. And it comes with a flathead side and a Phillips side. And while this Phillips sort of works with these, it doesn't really. It seems like it's maybe just a hair too small. So I have to end up using the flathead side, and even that, it wants to strip them. So even the smallest flathead I could find, or Phillips I could find, didn't really work, and the micro one didn't really work. So it's kind of like, what is it, you know? Why aren't we using Torx like you do with everything else? If you look at the CP3, oops. Well, I don't think the CP3 has screws, does it? No, so I take that back, but thought I've had some Mackie products with Torx. But I just feel like most fidgets that I get anyway, especially ones from overseas, they have Torx screws. They have T8 screws. So I don't really understand why they went with these horrible screws. So that would be a big piece of advice, piece of feedback. If anybody from 01 watches this, I recommend getting one higher hardness screws and getting Torx screws. That would really help, I think, with people being able to easily adjust and Loctite these and do that. Also, I would recommend from factory Loctiting every screw down. There's no reason to not Loctite those and have them come loose within days. Literally a day of fidgeting out of the box, and I had screws almost falling out. Those two things are very important to me, especially these post screws. If you're going to use that post screw system, you got to Loctite that thing down tight. I would recommend not doing that system. I think it's better like this, where it can come apart. I don't think there's that much of a benefit to having the post in there where it can't come off. Yes, it can't come off. That's the benefit. But maintenance, everything is easier if you allow that to just come off. If you allow these to be loose. So while I get the concept of it being one piece, I just think it's better like this. That's my 2 cents. Keep that in mind, guys. None of this is gospel. This is just what I think. So that's a big breakdown of the 01 slider versus the CP3. So this one right here is the YOLO version in Zerk. This is number 91 of 100. This is the Urban EDC one. This one's number 49, I think. Yep. And then this is a Hogdoggin CP3. And this one is number, I think it's like D7, 175 or something weird. I do have the Hogdoggins version of this coming. So I am excited for that. Apparently it's part of the second batch, where these two I think were in the first batch, which again could mean that there's going to be more issues with these. I'm trying to think. There's one other thing I thought there were people who mentioned magnets immediately popping out when they got these, especially these urban ones. And that I don't really list as an issue. I think that what you have to understand if you're going to get into fidgets is you need to buy acetone, alcohol, like rubbing alcohol, and you need to have, obviously you need to have like Torx bits and stuff, and then you need to have glue. You really need to have glue. I recommend the Star Bond medium thick black glue. I've put the link to that in other videos. If you search how to glue a magnet back in or whatever on my channel, you'll find it. If I remember, I'll link that stuff down below. But it's Star Bond medium thick, and it's like a black glue. That stuff, from my experience, works absolutely fantastically, and you should have that on hand. And it's not that big of a deal. If a magnet pops out, you just clean it with a little bit of acetone. Make sure you get all the other glue off of it. Clean the hole out a little bit with acetone. Be careful, obviously. And then you just put enough glue at the bottom of the hole to fill the bottom layer. That's it. You don't want to like pour it in. You just want to cover that bottom layer. Then you put the magnet in and press down. And then, you know, slide your finger away. Make sure you don't have glue all over it and you're not gluing your thumb down. But just obviously be careful. But then you just press it down, hold it in place, make sure it's level or below the hole line, and then just let it sit. If you want to be safe, let it sit overnight. Honestly, it's usually good to go in like 10 minutes, 20 minutes, and you've re-glued the magnet. I've had that happen on customs. I've had them happen on cheap fidgets. It's gonna happen. They're making these in factories. They're adding enough glue what they think would work, but in transit issues can happen. Heat changes or temperature changes. Somebody makes a mistake. It just can happen. They're gluing these in, right? It's just how it's gonna go. So unless you have a system like Magnus or whatever, or Modus works where you have a plate, you're going to have to glue magnets back in. So that to me is not a huge deal. When it happens on a massive level, sure, then obviously something's wrong. But 1Z, 2Z magnets coming loose, that's just normal in the fidget world. So I just want to put that out there. So ultimately, my thoughts. What do I think is the better slider? Which one would I recommend? Can you get these? Okay, first, the CP3 is legendary. It remains legendary. This is not being set aside by the 01. The CP3 is better. The CP3 is amazing, and I absolutely love it. Especially this one right here. You just get really good hand cut pop. It's very fidgety, slides out very well. One other difference that I'll note that you may want to know is the extension. So while these are the same length, this goes out to there, and this only goes out to here. So now when you line it up, you only have that much extension. Does that matter? That's up to you. I like the CP3 because I can rest it on my pinky and kind of pop it down like that, or rest it on my ring finger and pop it down like that. With the 01, I tend to do this, but I also tend to just kind of do it like this in my palm, because it doesn't land in a great spot. It honestly lands like in between, you know what I mean? It's fine. And then you have to remember this one goes the other way as well. So you kind of have to make sure you're resting it here so that you can pass that finger. You have to get past it. So it kind of makes it a little awkward to use. It's not as like snappy feeling as the CP3, where you can kind of just bang. You can just clang it down because you know you're not going past that point, and you know that that's a definitive thing, and you get more extension, so you get a little bit more bang on there, where this, you know, you're kind of, I don't know, it's just a little less extension, and that is a little bit of a downside. The plus side to this, again, is it goes the other way. So it is a little bit fun to kind of do this, and there's just different things you can do that are impossible with this, right? This has one move. That's it. This, you can go out, you can go down, and then kind of pop it back this way. My favorite move with the 01 is what I call the USB driver, the flash drive. You pop it out like that. I just think it looks like a flash drive, and it's cool. I don't know. And then you kind of just pop it down. You get 2 clicks. Nothing crazy. It's not really super satisfying, but I just feel like it looks cool. And trying to do it one-handed is fun. Trying to like get it to get into position is kind of fun to try to do with this one. Kind of hold it down and slide at the same time like that. And I just have fun doing different things like that. That's where the 01 is a little bit better. But ultimately, the CP3 still rules the day. Both of these are fantastic. This was $180, I think. Something like that. I think it might have been like low 2s shipped from Singapore, I think, from Fidelis. So depending on where you order these from, prices are going to vary. You can get these, I believe, on AliExpress now. If you go to AliExpress, I recommend using the Inniswork store. I haven't used any others and can't recommend them. This one's an Urban EDC Urban EDC exclusive, and they sold out pretty quick. I think they're doing another run. I'm not positive, so you can keep an eye on their website. That's a good way to get it because it's an American company. It'll ship from California. that's cool. Just keep an eye out on their website. The CP3s, I believe, are still available on AliExpress. I don't know where else you can get them right now. I'm not sure if Fidelis has any, or maybe Fab has some, fabblades.com. Just be wary of pricing with some websites like that. Fidelis had the exotic ones. That's where I got the Zirku one, but that was $370 or something. When I say Fidelis, his name is Fidelis, and he's on Facebook. If you're in the Facebook groups for fidgets, it's a great place to buy stuff. Surplus Depot, Fidget Daily Marketplace. All those places are really good, and you'll learn different things there that'll branch off to other groups. So just find your way there and talk to people, do all that. He is on Instagram under IKLEDC. It's like IKAEL_EDC, I believe. And he will post the stuff that he's going to have available. You can also check out bigwhiteedc.com. You can use my code LeftyEDC there. They don't carry this stuff yet, but I believe he's going to be carrying something. I'm not sure if it was Mackie or 01, something like that. So they are a little bit hard to get, just like most fidgets, but AliExpress probably has some different ones. And the Surplus Depot group is a good spot to try to get in on like pre-orders and stuff. That's how I got in on the Hogdoggen 01 slider. So I think that's everything. This was like 130. This was like 180, 200. This was the same, $200, $180 new. You can find these used in the Fidget Marketplace as well. It's a good place to go, Daily Fidget Marketplace. The 01 group exists on Facebook. That's probably a good resource to talk to people and get information. Talk to the admins. I think it's Dean and Adam Sherry. So yeah, if you guys have any questions about these, let me know. I apologize for the long video, but this was kind of a comprehensive comparison of these two products and my thoughts overall on them. What I would recommend. I totally recommend both. I think with the newer versions of this, it's going to be better. But my personal recommendation, it's all it is my recommendation, is first thing you should do when you get this is remove those screws from the posts and Loctite all the other screws down. I think that will save you some headache, because every time, which was twice, I got these out of the box, started using them, felt great, and then within a couple hours, they were starting to get all jammed up and shit, and I had to go in there and mess with all the screws, so almost better to just, you know, do it right away, but maybe the new batches will be good to go. So, again, let me know if you have any questions. I love you guys. I hope you have an absolutely fantastic day. If you made it this far in the video, throw me a thumbs up. Give me a comment. Check out the other videos. Subscribe if you haven't. There's usually a subscription button right here. Click the channel icon. And yeah, love you guys. Hope you have an absolutely fantastic day. And I will catch you later.